Welcome to the classes of Shiksha Angan Senior. Like previous classes we discussed MES 012 Block 1 Unit 1, and today we will discuss about MES 013 Block 1 Unit 1. Hope so. Before starting the discussion, I want to say that I want to have a slight interaction with you. Hope uh, you all are good and you have started to read your and you have started reading your books. And those who haven't, I also want to share one thing with you that after taking admission in IGNOU for master's program, uh, near about 1 or 2 months time is taken for dispatching your study material. So those who have, so after, if you have already taken the admission, then you have to wait for a few months to get the hard copy of your study material. And if anybody has applied for soft copy of the study material, then also you will get the soft copy. IGNOU also provides the soft copy of your study material through your respective email ID. From there also you can start studying the each and every codes of your master's program. And if you didn't and if you want to start studying the units, then you can also take help of the eGyanKosh portal of from your IGNOU website. There each and every course code, study material of each and every course code of each and every block and unit is also available there. So you can download each unit from each course code and you can start studying from that. Then after that, and after getting the study material, then you can also read the rest of the part from your book also. So hope you all are good. So this is the procedure, and this is the way of getting the study material which I shared with you. So without wasting time, so let's move to the unit. So we will discuss today MES 013 Unit 1 Block 1, Learning and its Scope, Exploring Perspectives, Theoretical Model and Situated Cognition Approach. So you can also learn this unit by downloading the soft copy of this unit from eGyanKosh portal. So there also you will get a detailed idea about the unit. So let's move towards the point. Perspectives of learning. Perspectives on learning, a comparative overview of behaviorism, cognitivism and constructivism. Here in this chapter, an overview of behaviorism, cognitivism and constructivism will also be discussed here. Behavioristic perspective. The first point which we get to know is behavioristic perspective. What is the core concept of behavioristic perspective? Learning is defined as a relatively permanent change in behavior resulting from experience. So here, in case of behaviorism, learning is defined as a permanent change in behavior. Whatever changes are noticeable in the behavior, that changes are permanent, which results, and that changes which happens in our behavior, the changes which we notice in our behavior, these changes results from experience, from our daily life experience, or from experience from any other source. We get to notice these changes in our behavior. This is the core concept of behaviorism. Now first is sensory experience. Source of knowledge acquired through physical sensation. For example, color, taste, shape. So what is here, the first subdivision which is mentioned here is sensory experience. Now what is this sensory experience? Sensory experiences are those senses where knowledges are acquired through physical sensations, like from color, taste, from any sorts of shape, etc. Next is associationism. Contiguity in time and space connects stimuli and responses. SR mechanism. What is then associationism? What is associationism? Associationism is contiguity in time and space, which which connects stimulus and responses. This SR mechanism, SR bond. Who are the key theorists in behaviorist perspective? Pavlov, Watson, Guthrie, and Skinner. They emphasized environmental contingencies over mentalistic construct. So these theories, Pavlov, Watson, Guthrie, Skinner, they emphasized on environmental contingencies over mentalistic construct. They give emphasis on environmental issues rather than mentalistic construct. What is the role of reinforcement? Consequences determine response rate and resistance to forgetting. So here in behavioristic perspective, the role of reinforcement is determined based upon the consequences and the response rate of response, and upon resistance to forgetting. Resistance to forgetting any consequence, then response rate, and whatever consequences happen in the surrounding. Upon this aspect, the role of reinforcement is determined. Now next we will see cognitive versus constructivist view. In cognitive perspective, here what is expressed? Reason as source. But here what is being said? The mind actively processes, interprets and structures raw sensory input rather than creating mere photocopies. So our mind actively processes, interprets and structures the raw sensory input rather than creating mere photocopy, because mind cannot create any sorts of photocopy of an incident. Just like we can use a photocopy of any document just for sake of keeping record, but our mind doesn't do that. Whatever incident we see, we watch, we notice that, and depending on the consequences and the impact of the incident, that every detail is being recorded in our mind. And for doing this process, several practices are there which we have to go through. So if that practices is followed properly, then our mind will work very efficiently. Then Gestalt holds. Perception is holistic and meaningful. It focuses on internal mental processes that lead to changed capability to act. In Gestalt hold, it is said that perception, whatever we perceive based upon an incident, is holistic and meaningful. And in case of Gestalt theory, if we learn the Gestalt theory, we will discuss about Gestalt theory in detail in another unit. So there you will notice that every incident, that focus is given on purely on perception, because in Gestalt theory it is perception as a whole. This concept is believed in Gestalt theory. So in Gestalt holds, perception is holistic and meaningful, and it focuses on mental processes which results in a changed capability to act. Whatever action we will take according to our situation, according to the situation. In Gestalt we react according to the situation, it is fact. But in case of Gestalt theory, it is noticed that it focus is given on the mental processes, internal mental process, internal processes of the mind, which leads to a changed capability to act in a situation. Now this is the cognitive perspective. Now next we will see constructivist perspective. If we see the constructivist perspective, here we see active construction. Learners construct knowledge through interaction with their physical and social environment. In case of active construction, what we see, that learner construct their knowledge through interaction with physical and social environment. This concept is also mentioned in Albert Bandura's social construction theory. There you will learn in detail about this active construction. So here what is being stated, that learner construct their knowledge. Learner own construct their knowledge through interaction. By interacting with physical and social environment, learner builds their knowledge. Piagetian adaptation. In case of Piagetian adaptation, what we notice, it is driven by schema, assimilation, accommodation, and 4 universal developmental stages. In Piagetian adaptation, what we notice, that constructivist perspective, construction, it is driven by schema, assimilation, accommodation, and the 4 universal developmental stages. And that 4 developmental stages of Jacques Piaget, which is being regarded as the cognitive development theory, which is been created by Jacques Piaget. So about this theory we will learn in detail in next unit. Here we will just know about the basic points of Piagetian adaptation. So schema for cognitive development, Piaget has given emphasis on schema, assimilation, accommodation, and the 4 developmental stages, that is we will discuss in detail in the up to this. You will just keep in mind the 4 stages of Piaget's theory. Here emphasis is given upon that. Okay. Okay, then next we will discuss summary of learning frameworks, perspective, definition of learning, primary mechanism, key figures. Behaviorism. According to behaviorism, How learning is defined? It defined as change in observable behavior. Primary mechanism, stimulus response, reinforce, which have been discussed in the previous point, that is our bond in case of behaviorism, and the role of reinforcement, how reinforcement acts in behaviorism, that has been discussed in the previous point. Key figures, key theorists are Pavlov, Watson, Skinner. Cognitivism. According to cognitivism, learning is defined as acquisition and processing of knowledge. And the primary mechanism is active reasoning, gestalt interpretation. Key theorists or key figures, Brunner, and information processing. In case of constructivism, learning is defined as individual construction of meaning, which I discussed in the previous slide, that learner actively constructs their knowledge by interacting with physical and social environment, and learner own constructs his or her knowledge. No support or no help is provided at that time during the construction of knowledge. Primary mechanism, action, schema adaptation, equilibration. Key figures, Jean Piaget. Social constructivism. In social constructivism, learning is defined as social construction of knowledge, which I have already discussed. Social construction of knowledge. Uh, Primary mechanism, socio-cultural interaction, ZPD. You just note the full form of ZPD. Z. Oh, sorry. Okay. Zone. Zone of proximal development. Please don't mind anything by seeing this type of horrible writing. I'm just writing with the help of the key mouse of my laptop. So that's why this writing became like this. So please don't take it otherwise. So the full form of ZPD is Zone of Proximal Development. You just for now, you just learn the full form of ZPD. Later, it will be discussed in another unit about ZPD and the social constructivism theory, which was propounded by Lev Vygotsky. The proponent of this social constructivist theory is theorist Lev Vygotsky. Then next we will discuss about situated cognition, embedding thought, action and culture in real world context. Situated cognition, which embeds our thought, our action, culture in real world context. The situated cognition approach. Now, what is this situated cognition? Integrating knowing and doing challenges traditional views that separate what is learned from and how it is learned and used. Knowing and doing, it integrates knowing and doing. So what is being mentioned here? It challenges, it it gives a challenge to the traditional view which separates, which makes a separation from what is learned and which separates what is learned in the previous perspective from how it is learned and how it is being used. It poses a challenge on this, on the traditional view. Context bound knowledge. Cognition is fundamentally social and adapted to physical surroundings. So if we see the context bound knowledge, then here we see, here it is noticed that cognition is totally social and it is adapted to physical surroundings. Rejection of dualism. It rejects Cartesian separation of mind and body, activity and environment from a unified whole. In case of rejection of dualism, here we see that it rejects the Cartesian separation of mind and body. A rejection is being given, a rejection is being done here by in the Cartesian separation of mind and body, activity and environment from a unified whole. From a whole, the separation, the Cartesian separation of mind and body is strictly rejected. Enculturation. Learning is adopting the norms, tools, values and attitudes of a specific practice community. Enculturation. Here enculturation is stated as learning. Here enculturation is stated in such a way which expresses that learning is adopting the norms, tools, values, beliefs and attitudes of a specific practice community. The process of adopting the norms, beliefs, attitudes of a specific community. Here we will also come to know about the two terms, enculturation and acculturation. So we will discuss later in detail. Key pillars of situated cognition. Now we will see what are the key pillars of situated cognition. First is communities of practice. In case of communities of practice, what is being stated? That groups which share common goals, practices, language and belief system through collective participation in everyday activities. In communities of practice, here the group which are being created where common goals, practices, language, belief system which are shared. Common, each and everything is common, whether common goals, common practices, common language and common belief which are shared through collective participation in everyday activities. By participating in everyday activities where a common goal, common beliefs and language are shared by a respective group. Second is legitimate peripheral participation. Here, what is being said? The process when novices begin with peripheral tasks and move towards central mastery within a social practice. In this process, who are newcomers, novices who are newcomers or fresher, They begin with some peripheral task and moves towards the central mastery within a social practice. Then third pillar is authentic activities. Real world practices which provide context and prevents knowledge from becoming inert or abstract. In case of authentic activities, it is said that real world practices are followed which provides a context, which gives a meaning and prevents knowledge to become inert or abstract. So these are the key pillars of situated cognition. If you see the book in detail, then you will get a clearer concept from there. Next comes communities of practice. Social foundations of learning. Learning is constituted through participation in purposeful shared activity within social settings. It is said by whom? Lev and Wenger. By engaging with experts and peers, individual not only absorb skills but also the subjective viewpoints, values and professional identity of the community. So if we engage ourselves with expert or with peer, we the individuals not only adopts the skills, but we can also adopt the subjective viewpoints, the values and professional identity of the community. So if an individual is engaged to a community, he or she not only learns the practices of the community, not only learns the viewpoints of the others, of their peers, their expert, they also they learn some subjective viewpoints, some values, and also gets updated about the, we can also get updated about the professional identity of the community. So this is the community of practice. Legitimate peripheral participation. From novice to expert. Here it illustrates how new members become experienced old-timers through structured engagement. From novice to expert. Here it illustrates, suppose a new member joined in a community. So community, whatever community in that sense, whether it is a community in your professional life, whether community in your co-curricular, in the field of co-curricular activity, whatever, whenever an individual joins that community, that time he or she is completely a novice. He or she has no idea, didn't possess any idea about that respective community. So by slowly interacting with the members of that community, he or she becomes an expert. After a certain period of time, he or she gets accustomed with the members of community, with the norms, with the values, belief system, attitude of the community. Same here in case of legitimate peripheral participation. Here it is also stated that it illustrates how new members, those who are new members, how they become experienced old timers, how they become the way of becoming experienced through a structured engagement, through a proper engagement. A new member becomes an experienced member. That process is being illustrated here. That process is being illustrated in this point, from novice to expert. Peripheral task. Beginners start with low risk support activities, for example prep work in tailoring or cooking. In peripheral tasks, what is being stated here, that those who are beginner, they start with low risk support activity, low risk activity. For example, prep work in tailoring or cooking. Because if a very complex task, for example, I'm giving you an example. Suppose an individual is has joined in his or her office, and after completing his or her study, he joined in that workplace, and he's a completely newcomer. He has no idea about the working environment. He or she has no idea, no knowledge about the working environment. So to get accustomed to that working environment, what is essential to make him or her accustomed? Training. A proper training is essential. Similarly, so that if a proper training is provided to the newcomer, to the fresher, then only he or she will be able to get accustomed with the work culture of his or her professional life. Same here, and not only that, at first, whenever he or she joins, at first some easy level tasks are provided to him or to them, so that they can't face any difficulty at first, so that they can't get worried, so that he or she can't get worried about the working environment of his or her professional area. So if we give a complex task in the beginning, if we provide a complex task to an individual, so without having any idea, without having any knowledge about the task, that whether he or she will be able to perform that task? No, absolutely not. Same here in case of peripheral task. Here it is being stated that those who are beginners, those who are fresher, they start with some low risk activity. Then comes, because in the beginning if we provide a difficult task, then he or she will get worried and will become anxious, and anxiety will work in his or her mind, and from that anxiety he or she will make a mistake. So that's why low risk activities are provided in the peripheral stage. Same also done in case of a newcomer. Then center of expertise. As competence grow, learners move towards central complex responsibilities. Center of expertise. Now, when the fresher starts with a low risk activity, after starting with a low risk activity, after working on that, on activities, a confidence level grows in his or her mind, and whenever that competency grows, whenever that confidence level is developed in the mind of the learner, then he or she moves towards a central or some complex responsibilities. Then comes embodied learning. Here, focus is given on acquiring functional abilities rather than absorbing abstract rules. So here, in case of embodied learning, focus is given on acquiring functional abilities rather than just absorbing the abstract rules. Okay. Now we will learn about authentic activity versus inert knowledge. Authentic activity versus inert knowledge. First is inert knowledge trap. Decontextualized instruction, for example, dictionary definition without usage. leads to memorize rules that cannot be applied in real life scenarios. In case of inert knowledge trap, what is being stated? It is stated that those instructions, those are in decontextualized form, it results to memorize rules. It can lead to memorize rules which cannot be applied in real life incident. For example, definition of dictionary without any usage. Because what you will do by learning the dictionary, learning the definition of a dictionary, it can't be just by learning definitions of a dictionary, it can't be used in a real life scenario. It can't be beneficial in any real life incident. Next comes contextual meaning, words, concept and formulas which gain concept and formula which helps to gain true meaning through application in dynamic authentic situation. In contextual meaning, what is stated that word, concept and formulas, because formula also helps us a lot in any activity. Not only in case of activity, in case of solving mathematical equation, formula also helps a lot. So if we learn the formula, just you see if you see the example of mathematics, just I'm giving you as an example. In our childhood period, whatever in case of mathematics, whenever we used to learn algebra, so before solving the sums of algebra, what is being taught to us in our school days, that first you learn the formula. A knowledge is being provided to us about the formulas of the algebra. Then this a plus b whole square, a square plus 2ab plus b square, a plus a minus b whole square, a square minus 2ab plus b square, then a square minus b square. Then gradually our knowledge is being provided to us about the formulas, so that so that we can solve the problem with ease. And after getting a preliminary knowledge about the formula, then the sums are being provided to us for solving, and by applying that formula we used to solve the sum in our school days in case of algebra. Just I'm telling you as an example. Same here, it is stated in case of contextual meaning that words, concept and formula helps to gather a true meaning only through its application, by its application in dynamic and authentic situation. Then comes knowledge as a tool. Knowledge as a tool. Yes, it is the fact that knowledge acts as a tool. Tools are understood and sharpened through active use. Similarly, knowledge evolves with each new situation. Just now we see that whatever the tools we use in our daily life for conducting any activity, we get a knowledge about the tool by the knowledge which we gathered about the usage of each and every tool. How we can gather that knowledge? We gather that knowledge through the active use of that respective tools. If we actively use any tool by hand, then only we will be able to gather knowledge about that respective tools, whether it is used for any technical purpose or whether it is used for mining purpose or whatever the purpose. If we use it practically, then only knowledge will be gathered. Otherwise, gathering knowledge by just verbally listening the usage of any respective tools. It's not possible. We can't able to learn that. Similarly, knowledge also evolves with each new situation. Similarly, we also gather knowledge by evolving with each and every new situation. We gather knowledge, we gain knowledge, and not only through new situation, or through experience also we gather knowledge. Next comes pedagogical shift. Education must transition from passive information transfer to meaningful participation in authentic social activities. So in case of pedagogical shift, what we notice that education must move from passive information transfer to meaningful participation in authentic social activities. These are the authentic knowledge versus inauthentic activity versus innate knowledge. And now we have completed the discussion. So it is the end of discussion. So in a single day I discussed this unit. So if you feel difficulty in learning this, if you feel any sorts of difficulty, or if you have any doubts, you can just message on the comment box and I will try my level best to solve your doubt. And obviously today we end the class here. In the next class again I will discuss a new course code, a new unit and a new block from that course code, and simultaneously I will also discuss MES 056 block 1, another unit, unit 2. I have completed the block 1, unit 1, unit 2. I will start the unit 2 very soon, and till then stay tuned, stay happy, stay blessed. And how is the class today? Just write it in a comment whether you like the class or not, and also give a like to the video. And most important thing, those who haven't joined my YouTube channel Shikshangan Senior, please go and subscribe the channel by pressing the bell icon and get access the recordings of each and every classes, so that you can get a clear concept about the each course code of IGNOU's master's program. And in the next class we will meet you with a new course code, new unit. Till then, stay tuned, stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you.